Welcome back to Great Day Houston. I know that Bill gave me this collar for my dog Bandit, but I'm thinking, GDH, that just about fits. All right, if you're looking for something fun to do with the family or out-of-town guests, why not take in the latest production of Sleeping Beauty? I had a chance to go backstage and on stage with the folks at Theater Under the Stars. John.
Yes, my dear.
You were one of those kids. You know what I mean by one of those kids?
No, but you're going to tell me.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. It was one of those ones that says, hey, I think I'm going to play an instrument. And you just like play an instrument. Or I think I'm going to be a great actor and a great singer. And it just happens.
Well,
where did kind of that confidence in you that when you decided to self-teach yourself some things happen?
Well, you know, you're speaking of piano. I'm a self-taught pianist. And that's just because ever since I've been a young kid, I hear melodies in my head.
Yeah.
It's a strange place up there. It's a strange room up there, but I've heard melodies, and so I compose quite a bit and have a couple of albums that are out on Billboard, so they've done pretty well. But it's just something that I do, and I always believe that I live by my imagination.
And I think that your parents supported that in you. A lot of times when...
Not really.
Oh, really? They did not?
No,
okay, so you went on to college with theater, and oftentimes when you do something like that, parents go, okay, and then what medical schools are you going to?
Exactly
right.
Yeah,
as a backup plan.
Well, I knew at the age of 3 what I wanted to do with my life. People would say, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And I said, well, I'm soiling diapers at the rate of 6 a day. I don't really know that I have a concrete career objective, but I said, you know, I would point to the black and white TV and I say, well, I am an actor, so that's what I'm going to be. So at the age of 3, I really knew where I was going.
Yeah.
So my life really has been about connecting the dots between then and now.
All right, Lauren, for you had success at an early age. You know, you played in the Disney show and the whole bit. And sometimes when you're at that age, it's kind of like you treat it like it's, you know, that's just like somebody else who does cheer or somebody else does choir or whatever.
I did both of those.
Yeah, right. But when did you realize that, this is not just something for fun that I do and I work hard, but this can really be a career?
I'm still kind of in the midst of that, in the midst of learning that this is something that I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life towards. It's definitely always been something that I love to do, and you know, there's really nothing else in the world.
Did you decide that when you were in soiling diapers as well that you wanted
1,000%. My mom used to always laugh because I used to, ever since I was like just a baby, I would nonstop sing, and it would drive her nuts. But she knew from like just when I was just born that I was going to get involved in theater and music.
Yeah.
So.
And Vonzell, you're such a great story of you can have a passion, and if you haven't gotten that job yet, you still pursue that passion and do whatever you have to do to support yourself, right, at the time. Working at the post office?
Yes.
Right? And you were like the singing postal worker.
Yes.
But your words of advice to people, too, about that, because I think sometimes you talk about a dream deferred. People think if it's not happening, they put it on a shelf and leave it there. You don't have to. There's community theater. There's all kinds of things to get involved in.
And so I delivered the mail. Shout out to my postal family. I love my postal family. Actually.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Yes. So I became a spokesperson with the Postal Service after Idol. But leading up to American Idol, I delivered the mail to support my singing career. And that's how I paid for my first album and studio time and stuff like that. So as I was working, I was always like writing songs in the mail truck and stuff like that.
All right. Theater is so different. I think it's still so magical. You know, TV's fantastic. You've worked in that. You've seen how that kind of works. But there's something different about being on the stage. I ran into somebody the other day who said they'd never been to a live play, and I was like, "You're in for such a treat." What is it about the theater?
The theater. Well, let's talk about what it isn't. If you're doing television or film, you're really working in an editor's medium. You assemble all of the footage, more so in a film, less so in a television. But essentially, it just goes onto an editor's lap, and he puts it all together. So you don't really have a sense of what you're doing. All there is just a little black hole over there in the corner of the room, and you don't have a connection with who's on the other side of that. On theater, it's important whether there are 3 people in the room or there's 3,000 people in the room. There's a sense of importance there to the event. And it takes a certain type of performer to bring what I call this thing called presence to stage. And presence is simply a sense of allowing your audience to be comfortable to know that you will take care of them for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's what presence is.
Yeah, and with TV and film, it's done. That's it. That's the version. That's it.
That's it.
In theater, it can change a little bit every night. Maybe sometimes not intentionally, but
it's the art of the infinite possibility.
Yeah. And with Sleeping Beauty, it's something that, somebody who's 2 months old is exposed to it and someone who's 200 years old is exposed to it. But it's got to be fun to do something that you're completely familiar with in a sense, but don't think it's the same Sleeping Beauty, right?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the fact that it's panto means that, you know, it's modernized. It's the same plot line with a ton of twists, modern songs, modern jokes catered specifically to Houston. It's just a really fun, exciting version of the story that we all know.
Yeah, speaking of fun and exciting, Vonzell, it's one thing to perform and sing, right? But to perform and you're singing and acting.
Yes. I love the fact that we get to like interact with the audience during our shows, and I just think that it's a great introduction to theater for young and old. When I was a kid, I went to see, you know, the classical musicals. As a child, I grew up in the arts. But I think that this would have been a fun experience.
Yeah, and the music is different here. The music is different.
Yes, the music is different.
And it's not only all generations that come to see this will recognize one song or something that they hook into
From 2
as
months
well.
to 200
But the
years
most
old.
important part is the kids are not taught to sit on their hands in this show. They are meant to boo, hiss, and scream at the stage, and that's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
It's a totally
Makes it
interactive
interactive.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to say welcome to Houston. I know
Thank
you've
you.
been on Great Day Houston before, but thank you all very much for making time for us. I know getting up early when you work on the night side can be tough sometimes, but best of luck to you, and thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Can't wait
Looking
for this.
forward to
Thank you.
Sleeping Beauty and Her Winter Night, presented by Theater Under the Stars, is running now through December 24th, so something fun to do on Christmas Eve with the whole family, and it is running at the Hobby Center.